Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, and these are a few of my personal opinions. Welcome back to another episode of Journal Entries here, where I take you through some of my journeys and escapades working on board cruise ships as a video producer. This week we're heading to the time capsule of Alaska, Skagway. The small town of Skagway has a population of around 1,100 people, or 1,100. These are year-round residents. These are residents that stay not only through the summertime, but also through the winter. The population has a tendency to double during the summertime because there's a lot of tourism that is active in Skagway. And a lot of this tourism comes from cruise ships. You can see this town in about 15 minutes if you're just walking, 45 minutes if you're trying to explore. The history, however, is much more immense. Skagway is a time capsule of the Klondike Gold Rush. The buildings had the original architecture with some modifications to show what it was like during the time of the Klondike Gold Rush, and you feel immersed in the history. Tourism, as I said before, is a very important part of Skagway. It's one of the reasons why the town still exists, if not the primary reason why this town exists. One of the biggest reasons why this town is still alive is because of the White Pass Yukon Railroad. The White Pass Yukon Railroad is a very unique railroad. The railroad is actually much smaller than your average sized railroad, and that's because the train is actually narrower. By having the gauges be narrower, you're able to navigate through much more narrow passageways, and going through the mountains of Alaska, especially in the Yukon territory, the British Columbia territories, the roads can get very narrow alongside some of these mountains, and you have to go through a few different tunnels while you're navigating this route. By having it being a narrow gauge railroad, there is more accessibility for the train. And now this train went from being a mining train to being a passenger tourism train. And essentially it's one of the biggest attractions, and it maintains its popularity today. Traveling by train, you get to see beautiful mountains, some amazing streams, possibility of cascades. There's a small chance of wildlife, however, bear in mind you are on a loud, thunderous metal snake. The bears are not going to be fans of the train whenever you're coming roaring down the tracks. So your chance of wildlife is a bit small, but your chance of seeing some amazing scenery, absolutely 100%. There are a few cities that have port access and highway access, but there's only 3. You have Haines, you have Hyder, and the third being Skagway. The tour excursions that take you to Haines is very unique because you need to take the ferry. It's a 45-minute ferry ride. It's a pretty scenic route. But it's also very time consuming. In order to first get to Haines, it takes 45 minutes. Then to go from Haines to wherever your tour excursion stop is, it's going to be another 45 minutes, possibly to an hour, most likely with wherever you end up. So these tours can last for a long time. One of my favorite tours, however, that is located in Haines, or just outside of Haines, is the Kroschel Wildlife Refuge. This tour excursion takes you to a gentleman by the name of Steve Kroschel. Think an Alaskan version of the crocodile hunter. The man loves his animals, and you get to meet so many different friends of his. He used to be an animal activists who worked alongside video producers to basically show you what the natural environment of certain animals were like, and so people could be educated about them. He is a little bit eccentric, but he's very enthusiastic, and you're going to have a fantastic time interacting with the animals that he has there at his facility. All of the animals are very well taken care of. They're in a natural preserve, and they don't feel like they're in a cage. The space is very immense, and you get to see a lot of different animals, and there are photo opportunities that I've only gotten here as a video producer that I possibly couldn't go anywhere else except maybe on a wild preserve. But you don't always have that type of time whenever you're doing your cruise. Other opportunities that are also in Haines includes a nature hike, it includes kayaking, it includes rafting, trying to spot eagles along the river. All of these opportunities are very nature or hiking based. So if you love nature hikes, Haines will be the place for you. Adventure is truly everywhere whenever you go to Skagway. It's possible to go to the border of Canada, into the British Columbia territory, or into the Yukon territory. You could go all the way out to Haines, but you actually don't need to travel too far if all you're trying to seek is adventure, especially in the town of Skagway. Skagway has an immense history by itself. In Skagway, it is possible to go dog sledding. Now, you are going to be towed in a golf cart versus being towed on an actual sled. And you also get to not only interact with the huskies there, you also get to interact with the puppies. By interacting with the puppies at a younger age, the dogs are actually learning over time the skill of being handled by humans, all different types of people. Because whenever they are working as a team in a dog sled race, they are handled by a ton of different veterinarians and also a ton of different dog handlers whenever they're dealing at an event. So by getting them associated with people at a younger age, dogs are used to being handled, usually much faster. Another exciting thing you could do is gold panning. Whenever you go panning for gold at these different facilities, you actually get to keep the flakes of gold that you find at these different facilities. Some of them have culture throwbacks, some of them have a more immersive experience. And also, some of them help you see the town of Skagway in a different light. You get to see the red light district. A very unique district, the red light district. You get to learn about Soapy Smith, and you get to learn about his impact on the town of Skagway and how he became an infamous con. This tour excursion and so much more has so much information, so much history packed within the time that you're there, but it's a little adventure in Skagway, and you can have a fantastic time while you're there. But as I always say, these are just my opinions. That is going to wrap it up for this week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on these adventures, and if this is your first time, welcome aboard on Nate's Escapades, and these journal entries are going to continue into next week. With all that being said, as always, everyone, the difference between an ordeal and adventure is your attitude. Until next time, peace out, signing out.